And also check to see from disaster recovery point of view how and what you do and what the provider does in terms of disaster recovery and business continuity. And if you are bound by certain compliance with business continuity, how you can actually do that. So I'll just move down another layer, the platform as a service. Some questions to ask on a PaaS platform. What you want to find out is primarily how do you actually interoperate with other systems from a PaaS point of view. Are you locked into a contract? For instance, can you get out of the contract? Is there a way out? How do you basically work your way out of that contract if you need to? If you find that the platform as a service was not exactly what you expected it to be. The other thing to look at also is how does an upgrade of the platform itself affect your product style? Because if you're building a product on a platform, you're pretty much bound to that platform in terms of technology. So you have to keep a good look at the life cycle of your product and the upgrade cycle of the vendor to see that basically what you have in mind is going to work on the platform in several years or a couple of years down the road, or what types of upgrades do you need to perform to keep up to date with that. Most importantly is portability as well. So moving from platform to platform is another big consideration. And a question to ask is how can you actually get your data back if you need your data back? And what format will that data be? So, I mean, if you ask a provider for your data back and they hand it to you in binary, it may not be too useful for you. So you have to find out, how can you port from one platform to the next. So let's just move down to the SaaS layer, and we'll take an example for the SaaS layer where Frank is working for Finance Corp, and Frank basically is the champion of this SaaS application internally in Finance Corp, and he wants to sell this SaaS application to internal stakeholders as one of the products that he wants to use. Some of the questions internally that he may get from his compliance team is, well, again, where is it located from a data center point of view? What's it hosted on? Is it part of a platform? How is this entire infrastructure and platform secure, and what are the measures in place? So Frank has a bit of a task on his hands to first of all get all of those questions answered in the first place, because there's many tiers involved in the delivery of the application. So he has to take into consideration the SaaS platform itself. Are they aware of the different levels and the layers of information security that lie beneath the SaaS platform? So what we do in SaaSAssurance to assist with this type of problem is we basically work with the cloud providers, the infrastructure as a service providers, and the platform as a service providers, and we allow them to basically look at the cloud solution as a solution for Frank. Look at, first of all, the contracts that exist between Frank and the SaaS platform guys, also the contracts that exist between the SaaS provider and the cloud provider, whether that's platform as a service or infrastructure as a service. And what we're looking for there is we're looking for responsibilities in those contracts to make sure that from an information security point of view, the right stakeholders in the different levels of the platform are actually engaged with information security tasks. Also, that service level agreements are in place. You need to have these service level agreements formalized and signed off, so each of the stakeholders involved in the platform basically have that responsibility and they've signed it off. And it's also interesting as well to look at metrics around this. And you're considering information security, and we're talking about information security in this particular session. However, I think we should also consider the quality aspect as well of the provider. Currently, we're working right now with an infrastructure as a service provider who is working on the Telecity data center. And what we're doing is we're basically providing our customers, first of all, with the transparency that we're working on an infrastructure as a service platform. Our provider is basically also working on their compliance project by using the SaaSAssurance system. And we're leveraging the fact that the Telecity data center itself is ISO 27001 compliant. So the fact that the data center is ISO 27001 compliant, it means that our infrastructure as a service partner can gain this compliance easier. So therefore that the actual customer then that sits on the infrastructure as a service provider with their SaaS platform, with their SaaS offering, can actually gain that compliance as well, based on the success of the infrastructure as a service provider gaining compliance, and also the data center gaining compliance as well. So this is a very much a tiered approach to information security. And at SaaSAssurance, we've been working with cloud for several years, and we have the tools and the resources to make this happen. So just what we'll do is move on to the next. The next question I was to answer was some tools and references and steps to take to successfully manage cloud security. I think invaluable, first of all, is on the American National Institute of Standards and Technology. I mean, NIST have been the guys who basically have written a lot of the rules around cloud technology and the actual, what cloud technology is, and a lot of the terminology. So I encourage people to look at NIST and to learn that terminology, what that actually means, if they haven't done so already. There's also the SMI framework, which is I find really useful from a metrics point of view. It gives you, first of all, you can look at this framework and download it and get involved in actually assessing the framework. And this is in conjunction with Carnegie Mellon University, and the guys involved in that are called the Cloud Services Measurement Initiative Consortium. So that's a resource that, if people are looking at metrics, can get involved in cloud metrics. There's also something called Swift 10 2012, which was released by the NSAI in Ireland, and also the Irish Internet Association, which I find extremely useful when looking at making decisions when moving to the cloud. The Cloud Security Alliance are very active as well in this space, and they have something which is of great value called the Cloud Controls Matrix. And what that does is it basically lists all of the different standards in cloud technology, and it actually shows the overlap between those standards. So if you need to find out how standards actually overlap, that's a fantastic resource. SaaSAssurance, we have open clinics available to people who are engaged in the industry and want to discuss information security in the cloud, and the tiered approach and the partnering approach, and how, for instance, to ask certain questions to cloud providers and to answer certain questions. So every so often we will hold an open clinic, and if you want to get in touch about the open clinics, by all means you can email. Somebody will get back to you within 24 hours with some dates. So overall, just in terms of one thing I just want to leave you with is, when dealing with information security in the cloud, from a vendor perspective, the best approach is really to be transparent with your customer, and as a customer, what you should be expecting from your vendor. And the biggest takeaway from this is transparency. So thank you very much. I appreciate your attention, and if you have any questions, you can contact me. My email address is mark.dunne@saasassurance.com.